Hello everyone, Storm11 here. Today we'll be going in deeper detail of the severe weather potential across parts of the several plains later tonight. That severe weather risk does move into parts of Dixie Alley, even up into parts of the Ohio Valley tomorrow as well. Some of that severe weather could be significant as well. Before we get started with this video, if you guys do like weather related content, you can subscribe to my channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we may have another update on this potential risk tomorrow as well. So definitely stay tuned for another update as well if I do post one. Anyway, I'll probably let you guys know why there may not be an upload tomorrow. Anyway, let's get started with the storm prediction outlook. So this is for later tonight. Currently, we don't have much wave showers or thunderstorms going on out there for the time being. The reason why is that there's something that's known as a cap. And typically, when you have a cap here, basically it's a wall. Basically, showers of thunderstorms cannot go for that wall, basically, or a warm air loft. There's a skinny layer of warm air, and the storms cannot go through it. Eventually, it's going to erode away at some point overnight, and that's going to lead to better and more organized storms out there as well. But regardless with a cap or not, there's still going to be that risk of severe weather. Along that dry line here, there is still going to be some showers and storms along that dry line that's going to move through some of these areas here as well. And that's going to lead to that severe weather risk. That's also why we got a slight risk for severe weather for parts of northern Texas and also a good chunk of Oklahoma as well. We do have an elevated tornado risk, right? For the time being, it's a 5% chance. There could be some isolated tornadoes out there. But the main threat will probably have to be damage winds. There's could be some organized blowing segments along that line of storms that could lead to damage winds. Now, early on, we could sort of see some hail because the lap rates are going to be pretty elevated, and that's going to lead to stronger updrafts out there as well. But the better opportunity for severe weather would be tomorrow, which is Thursday. We got an enhanced risk for severe weather over a good chunk of Mississippi, parts of Alabama, Tennessee, and also for far eastern Arkansas as well, with a standard slight risk surrounding some of those areas. It does get as far north as far southern Ohio, far southern Indiana, most of the state of Kentucky, and it gets as far southwest as Texas Arkansas region as well. The main risk in that enhanced risk region, we do have that risk for tornadoes, and some of those could be strong as well. We consider strong tornadoes EF2 or higher. So there is that potential risk for some stronger tornadoes out there. Damage winds will also be a big concern as well. There's going to be a lot of wind energy to work with on the setup. And I would not worry too much about the hail threat as well. It's going to be a pretty low risk for that as well. Then for Friday, no risk of severe weather. No severe weather expected later today on Friday. So let's get started by looking into the HRRR model. And as you can see here, coming into view here on the left side of the screen, we do have a 1,002 millibar low moving through Central Oklahoma. Just south of that low, we do have a line of some showers and storms, mainly a squall line of storms. And there is a little Boeing segment out there as well. And that's what I was talking about there. Anytime we get Boeing segments, that can indicate for the potential for some damage wind gusts as well. And it does seem to weaken as it moves into Arkansas. But eventually, as we get into the afternoon hours on Thursday, this is your bust potential. And I'm saying bust potential. It may happen, it may not. But if there's going to be a bust, this could be your reason why. There's going to be that potential for sloppy convection, or in other words, widespread shower or thunderstorm activity. And we're talking about unorganized storms here. Anytime when you have something like that, it limits the instability out there. So your instability out there may not be very strong at all. So that could be your bust potential out there. But at some point, a lot of these cells are going to merge within it together. They'll be stronger storms. But also at the same time here, some of those will cluster up into little squall lines here. And that does increase your damage wind threat. It does decrease that strong tornado potential, but it does increase your damage wind threat as well. There's going to be a lot of wind energy to work with on this system here as well. And you can see here eventually getting deeper into Thursday evening, you do see these little cluster of thunderstorms, and those could contain damage to straight line winds as well. And there's also that very low end risk for QLCS tornadoes or squall line tornadoes, in other words, as well. Let's check out the high-res NAM, and you can see a pretty similar scenario for tonight into tomorrow morning. Pretty good line of thunderstorms moving across several Oklahoma, northern Texas. Decent amount of instability, good lap rates, plenty of wind shear. You're going to get some severe weather out of those. Now, what's different with the High-res NAM, it actually does not want to weaken those storms. It actually wants it to continue through northern Arkansas into southeastern Missouri. Now, I will say that the High-res NAM doesn't really handle reflectivity very well, but this could be your potential worst case scenario, is that you don't have much of the way of shower or thunderstorm activity. There's a lot of green out there, but really most of that is just virga and stuff. Most of that's not really reaching the ground here. It's a little bit overdone here with the coverage of the green colors, which will represent as light rain, but really in reality, it's not really raining. You will have to pay more attention to the dark green colors, and that's where the showers will be. And in the red colors, that's where the potential for some storms could be as well. But either way, the coverage is not really there, especially when you get further north to parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. That's a really good advantage for the squall line that's off to the west here, which you can see here. That's a pretty organized squall line, and that could contain damaging winds. And there's also that possibility for maybe some squall line tornadoes along that line as well. But also further south, there's still not a whole lot of convection out there. It's not as widespread like the Hurd model is suggesting, but it does have some organized storms out there. And those are the ones that have the potential to become supercells, and those have that better potential to produce strong tornadoes as well. There's going to be plenty of wind shear to work with this setup here either way, but there's still some questions of how much instability there could be out there. But regardless, there's still going to be a severe weather threat for pretty much about everybody out there. You can see it continues to move off to the east here. It does weaken, but also tries to pick back up again the parts in the mid-Atlantic there. And those may contain a damage wind threat as well in the early morning hours on Friday. So let's talk about the wind energy. Let's first talk about the low level jet, 850 millibar winds. This is also could really consider of how much wind shear you could get, and there's going to be a lot out there. There's definitely not going to be a shortage out there. Now for Wednesday, there is going to be plenty of wind shear out there in the red colors. That's where you have 50 to 55, even up to 69. So there's going to be plenty of wind shear out there. There's definitely not going to be a shortage of wind shear for Wednesday and Thursday, especially for Thursday. I mean, check this out. This is peak time heating, 4 o'clock Eastern time on Thursday. And look at this. That is a very strong low of a jet over parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. That's at least 80 knots. I consider a strong low of a jet at least 60 knots. And we got 80 to 90 knots of 80 to 90 knot winds going on at 850 millibars. In miles per hour, that's 90 to 100 mile per hour winds. And by the way, we're talking about 5,000 feet up. This is not at the surface, by the way. This is at 850 millibars, or in other words, 5,000 feet up above our heads. I mean, this is a very impressive low of a jet. This is something you don't see very often in a warm sector like this. So that's going to lead to some strong wind gusts at the surface. Now, the bad thing is the fact that this can count as a lot of wind energy. And whenever this squall line gets into this strong low of a jet, it could certainly transport some of those winds down to the surface. Now, it won't be as strong as what is going on up here. We could be talking about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds within the squall line. So there is that potential for damaging winds along with that squall line. Even though there may not be much of any instability, it might be as low as 500 to 50 to 100 joules per kilogram. There's still going to be plenty of wind energy, and that cold front is going to help create lift as well. So that's going to force to create some showers and thunderstorms along that cold front as well. And those are the ones that have the better opportunity to produce damage to winds. And then again, there might be that potential for some isolated tornadoes. You do notice there that strong low of a jet does include down to parts of Mississippi and Alabama as well. So then again, this strong low of a jet does cover over a large area, but the strongest of the low of a jet is likely going to be more focused up in Kentucky and Tennessee. Eventually, when we get deeper into the night, eventually it will spread into parts of Ohio, West Virginia, even up into parts of Pennsylvania as well. Either way, a very strong low of a jet is likely going to be in place here as well. Let's check out the Harris NAM, and I'll say that it is going to be very similar as well. Pretty much every single model has a very strong low of a jet, 80 to 90 knots at 850 millibars. So there's a pretty strong agreement with this. There's definitely going to be no shortage of wind shear whatsoever on this setup here. Certainly going to be a lot of wind energy going on here as well. Let's check out the dew points. This is a pretty important ingredient when it comes to severe weather. I usually like dew points at least 60, but even for strong thunderstorm potential, you can get thunderstorms even in upper 50 dew points. Which you can see here from the HRRR model, it does bring those 60 dew points as far north as northern Kentucky, but some of the better dew point values are going to be more focused down to parts of Mississippi and Alabama. That's where we have that greatest potential risk for tornadoes. And mid 60s is pretty much a pretty good number for, or a pretty good range, I should say, for severe weather as well. Even low 60s can be favorable for severe weather as well. So, yeah, there's going to be plenty. The dew point numbers are likely going to be pretty elevated for everybody, especially in the parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, parts of Arkansas, even the parts of Alabama as well. So go and do that real quick for her, so be ready when we get back to it. So this is the Harris NAM here. Oh yeah, by the way, the last one was a her. Sorry if I accidentally said her as the Harris NAM. This is the actual Harris NAM, and you can see here, it's not as far north with the dew points here. It really isn't. It gets as far north as southern Kentucky. However, like I said earlier, even with upper 50 dew points, I mean that's still favorable for thunderstorm activity as well. But for the better severe weather potential, I'll much rather have 60 plus dew points. Which you can see here, some of the better dew points are likely to be more focused in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Arkansas, even in parts of Tennessee as well has a chance to see 60 plus dew points as well, especially in the parts of Mississippi where you can see mid 60 dew points as well. Now what I'm going to show you guys here, so this is a full run here, and the HRRR model handles this a little bit better, but where you have any of these stripes here, this is where you have the potential for rotating storms. And like I said earlier, when you have widespread activity, especially when they're not organized, it limits that instability, and you don't really get to see much way of organized storms. And you can see here, it's all over the place. You got some elevated values up in parts of Indiana and Ohio, which honestly, I don't think we're going to see rotating storms up there. But you do see these little stripes here. Higher the numbers here, the stronger the circulations could be. So this indicates that what let me rephrase that real quick. Basically what this indicates here is rotating storms, and higher the numbers, stronger the circulations could be. So then again, basically what this shows here is where you could see rotating storms as well. Then again, the HRRR model is just a simulation. It's not going to exactly present something like this as well. And I think the next thing we're going to talk about is that surface-based cape. So here's the Harris NAM, and it's not really aggressive with it at all. And honestly, the Harris NAM doesn't really handle these very well. It's only got one good little strip there. So, and also I think the Harris NAM is underdoing this potential as well. And then again, higher SNAP doesn't really handle it very well. The Hermal handles it a little bit better. Here's your surface-based cape here, which you can see are back in Oklahoma. It does have values up around 1,000 joules per kilogram. But then again, a lot of that's going to be capped. If we get a sounding out there, you'll see here, actually it's not capped on the sounding here, surprisingly enough. But on the sounding here, it doesn't have a whole lot of wind shear involved there, for what it seems like. But it does have pretty good lap rates, so we'll have to check a different product there to get better soundings out there. But you can see here in the blue colors, definitely higher numbers than the last video. Last video, most of the numbers were below 1,000. Well, now we're getting numbers above 1,000, and it does get as far north as southern Illinois as well, and even for southwestern Kentucky and for southeastern Missouri. And you can see here, of course, as you get deeper into the overnight hours, the numbers do back off as well. And here's the highest name when it comes to surface-based cape. Pretty similar here, but also a little bit lower with those numbers as well. So then, and for an environment like this, especially for our north where you got such strong wind shear, really anywhere above 200 joules per kilogram cape, I think you can still see some severe weather. Now, for areas far up north, there may not be much in the way of instability involved, but with the cold front forcing those updrafts along the front, creating thunderstorms, you're not really going to need much way of cape to get severe weather going, especially for any amount of wind energy is going on further up north as well. So there's definitely that chance that some people are going to underestimate that potential for areas a little bit further north as well. Let's check out the Hermophil significant parameters. And really for number over a 1, conditions are favorable for tornadoes, but numbers over a 2, those numbers are favorable for strong tornadoes, which you can see here, the Hermal does show some little pockets of above a 2. Then again, for areas above a 2, the conditions are favorable for stronger tornadoes, which does have it farther north, which honestly I think would be a good move from SPC to maybe extend that, maybe to include parts of far southeastern Missouri, southwestern Kentucky. Things have been uptrending in that area as well. But I think it really depends on what type of mode that we could see up there as well. I think that'd be the big determining factor as well. So let's get it sounding in northern Mississippi here from the HER model. And you can see here, this is a really pretty good sounding here. Lacking on the instability though, really around 500. But like I said here, for the amount of wind shear we got in this event here, it doesn't take much instability to get severe weather going. So I'll probably say in this area here, probably over 300, 500, you do have that severe weather potential. And the hodograph is pretty large as well, which can be favorable for stronger tornadoes as well. Plus, there's a lot of wind shear. Storm to helicity amounts are really high. You also got a pretty good elevated mix layer in the mid levels as well. So this is a pretty good sounding overall for northern Mississippi from the HER model. And if you go to southwestern Kentucky, then again from the HER model, pretty good instability values, getting closer to that 1,000 mark, almost 900 when it comes to Cape. Still pretty good Sorrative lithium numbers though. So this is also a pretty good sounding as well. Lap rates are going to be lacking a little bit as well on this setup here, but I don't think there'll be too much of an issue though on this type of setup. And also the hodograph is favorable for the tornado risk as well. And of course, the numbers do decrease as you get deeper into the overnight hours as well. Let me set that up real quick. And here's a higher significant when it comes to significant tornado parameters. And you can see here, doesn't have as high as numbers as the HER shows. But I will say though that the HER model does handle these type of ingredients a little bit better. And I do believe that the NAM, the highest NAM, could be running a little bit too cold on this as well. Some of the models were underdone with temperatures up here, up in Kentucky today by a few degrees, and that's pretty significant. As Well, if the models are off by 5 degrees, I mean, that's a big change when it comes to severe weather steps. That's going to help increase those instability values, and that increases your severe weather threat as well. So some of these models are going to run a little bit too cold as well. So I'm going to lean towards more to the HERS solution. It handles these setups a little bit better, and usually these other models do kind of follow along with it as well. But checking out the HiRes NAM in Mississippi, and it does have a pretty good environment as well. Pretty good hodograph there, pretty good elevated mix layer. But there's also quite a bit of instability, 1200 joules per kilogram of CAPE. That's a pretty favorable. Downdraft CAPE is also pretty favorable, 937. That can increase your damage to wind threat. Wind direction of height going on the low levels. Surface base, winds could be coming from the south, but at 5,000 feet up, it could be coming from the southwest. Story to felicity numbers were pretty good. Even lap rates are not that bad as well. So this is that's a pretty good sounding right there for severe weather, even for the potential for stronger tornadoes. And when you see from reflectivity, it did not have a whole lot of activity, not as much as like the HERS show. And then again, you can see here that potential doesn't get as far north as the HERS, but then again, like I said, the HERS model does handle these type of subs a little bit better as well. And then, of course, those numbers do back off as well into the overnight hours. This is probably going to be one of the reasons why there's a chance of not having upload tomorrow, and that's the winds. Without showers and thunderstorms, it's going to be pretty darn windy. So this is the HERS model when it comes to wind gusts. Now, it has done a pretty good job here in Kentucky today. So this is probably an accurate model to use. But check out these wind gusts here. I mean, that is widespread wind gusts of 40 to 55 miles per hour. And that can create some power outages, tree damage as well. And then again, this is without showers and storms here. So this is definitely something we got to keep an eye on as well, is that without showers or storms, it is going to be pretty darn windy as well. I think we can certainly see widespread wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. And there could certainly be areas that could get in the 50 to 55 range as well. So yeah, this is definitely something that we have to keep an eye on as well, is that high wind potential as well. And even within thunderstorms, wind gusts could be a little bit stronger than this as well, especially along that squall line as well, along that Arctic front as well. And here's the HiRes NAM, and this is going to be overdone when it comes to wind gusts, but regardless, it still shows some pretty impressive wind gusts out there as well. That's a wind gust of 67 miles per hour out there. So either way, there is going to be some pretty impressive wind gusts out there as well, and that can make traveling pretty difficult. Tree damage, outdoor buildings could have some damage as well, and this could also create scattered power outages. This is probably going to be one of the reasons why there may not be a video tomorrow. It's because I have a chance for a power outage. If I have a power outage, I can't make a video. So really, either way, there's going to be some strong winds out there as well. And that can also get up into the northeast as well. We can see some of those similar wind gusts get up into the northeast as well. There could be widespread 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts up into the northeast as well. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit that like button. If you do like my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications and never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put the comment section down below. All right, you guys questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.